Good day to each and every one. I am Christine Pinalzara, and now I am going to discuss the lesson 4, Constructivist Theory in Teaching Social Studies. But first, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. So, moving on to the lesson 4, Constructivist Theory in Teaching Social Studies. So first, let's have the introduction. Generation Z or post-millennial comprise a significant number of Filipino learners. The said generation was born and grew up with technology. Thus, they are called the digital natives. So meaning to say, the citizens nowadays are being exposed in the technology. So, meaning to say, most of the students or citizens is kanang na-overuse ang gamit sa kanang technology. So, that is one of the reasons why other students is kanang wala sila kaila og kanang civic competence or lack of knowledge about the social studies. So, this is one of the reasons why educators or teachers has difficulties in delivering the specific knowledge and skills for the students. So now, let's get to know what is the role of constructivism in delivering effective knowledge and skills for the students. So constructivism is a theory of learning that has roots in both philosophy and psychology. The essential core of constructivism is that learners actively construct their own knowledge and meaning from their experiences. So meaning to say, do not just memorize the facts, concepts, or any ideas, but rather you should interpret it into your own understanding. Like for example is, when you understand the lesson well is you should construct it into an essay, role plays, or activities. So that is how you interpret the knowledge that you have understand. So moving on to the basic tenets of constructivism developed by von Graesersfield. So first is, knowledge is not passively accumulated, but rather is the result of active cognizing by the individual. So learning is not just more on memorizing the information, but rather it is how we interpret the information that we have gained. So next is, cognition is an adaptive process that functions to make an individual's behavior more viable given a particular environment. So of course, when we learn new informations or knowledge is ma-adapt jud na siya to ang mind. And then how we learn from our mistakes. Like for example is, you want to learn how to swim, how to make handicrafts, and then you do not know how to do it, but through perseverance and practice is kanang na-adapt na nimo siya nga activities. So, ang ato ang mind is kanang maka-adapt gina siya once we learn new informations and ma-improve po na siya nato. So, cognition organizes and makes sense of one's experience and is not a process to render an accurate representation of reality. So, ang ato ang kanang pag-construct sa knowledge is also based from learning our experience. So, knowing has roots in both biological or neurological construction and social, cultural, and language-based interactions. So, our knowledge is based po na siya sa tuang comprehension level and also how we construct it into our own knowledge. And then, ang atua siyang kanang knowledge is mag-gain po na siya nato on how we interact with other people, how we gain respect, how to be friendly, and how to have a peaceful environment from other people. And also, we can learn language from other people. So, Giambattista Vico, in his treatise titled De Antiquissima Italiorium, Sapientia 1710, explored its essence when he coined the phrase "Virium is ipsum factum." He reiterated the idea that in order to know something, one must know the parts and how they have been fit together. So meaning to say, do not just pass the information in your memorization, but rather how you understand the information that you have gained from it. So in the modern period, more specifically in the field of psychology, the idea of cognitive construction was first fashioned into a comprehensive theory by James Mark Baldwin from 1861 to 1934 and Jean Piaget to 1896 to 1980. So according for them, ang constructivism can be learned through our experience and our social interaction. So meaning to say, dili lang gid sa information nato siya ma-learn. So that is according for James Mark Baldwin and Jean Piaget. Moving on to the types of constructivism. First, let's have the cognitive constructivism. This is typically associated with information processing and relies heavily on the component processes of cognition. So, ang cognitive constructivism, it is purely how we interpret the knowledge based rapod sa atuang mind without using the hands-on activities. And then, this perspective on learning focuses on the processes of learning, how experiences are represented or symbolized in the mind, and how representations are organized within the mind. So next is the radical constructivism. So kani siyang radical constructivism, it is a type of theory nga dili lang siya nag-rely more on information but also more on experience like mga activities nga gibuhat sa mga students. So meaning to say, dili lang sila maka-learn on how they memorize the facts but also kanang giunsa nila kanang pagbuhat sa kanang mga hands-on activities and then how they can improve their knowledge. So there is a construction of a knowledge. So that is what we call the radical constructivism. So next is the social constructivism. So ang social constructivism is how we collaborate well from other people, how we communicate, and also brainstorming our ideas from our own classmates and developing our communication skills, leadership, and how we gain friendships from them. So that is what we call social constructivism. So moving on to the constructivist pedagogy. First is authentic and real-world environments are necessary for learning to take place. So meaning to say, ang students is dili lang sila maka-learn inside of the classroom but also from their real-life situations in which ang ilahang knowledge and skills is ma-apply nila when they have a job, when they communicate or interact with other people. So that is the importance of authentic and real-world environments. So social negotiation and mediation should be taken into account in any form of learning. So, not just sa informations or kanang atuang mga activities but also ang students is maka-learn on how to socialize well from other people. We should not isolate ourselves para dili ta magka-cause og kanang anxieties but also kanang para pod kita is kanang maka-gain pud ta og friendships from other people, and in the other hand is kanang naman sa tay kanang ma-learn kanila. So next is content and skills are made significant to the learners. So ang kanilang content and skills is dapat magkuyog na siya kay muna siya ma-apply sa students sa ilahang real world context. So, content is kanang learning sa information. And then, sa skills is kanang ma-apply nila into their jobs. Nga kanang, importante gid sila hang real-life situations. So, muna siya importance sa content and skills. So, next is, learners' prior knowledge is fundamental in the acquisition of content and skills. So, it is very important that we have the prior knowledge. It's because ang kanisang prior knowledge, or in other words, ang atuang stack knowledge is muna siyang atuang kanang background informations nga ma-use when we are going to dig into another complex level of learning. So next is formative assessment should be done to inform future learning experiences. So formative assessments is how the teachers or educators is assessing the knowledge of the students through activities, role plays, or kanang mga essays or another kanang hands-on activities. And then after that is the teachers will going to give a feedback for the students in order for them to know the strengths and the things that they have to improve. So that's it. So next is constructivism encourages learners to become self-regulated, self-motivated, and self-aware. So constructivism allows the students to know what are their strengths and weaknesses as a students and how they can embrace it into their real life context. So next is teachers should act as guides and facilitators of learning. So, meaning to say from the word guides and facilitators, it's not just more on spoon feeding the lessons, but also kani siya is kanang ang teachers nga nag-act as guides and facilitators of learning is kanang muna siya kanang gilet niya ang kanang mga students to construct their own understandings. And then dili lang kay ang teachers maipirmi kanang hatag sa kanang mga information, but also they let the students nga kanang ma-improve ang ilahang knowledge and then ma-interpret nila na. So next will be teachers must employ multiple perspectives and representations of content. So meaning to say kanang ang teachers needs to be flexible. It's because we all know nga ang students has different learning styles, and then there are other students or kanang pupils who is very lazy. Naiuban pud is kanang na sila high level sa ilang thinking or kanang mga bright nga kanang students, and then nasa kanang mga average. So the teachers needs to adapt all the learning styles or diverse styles of the learners. Muna siya, dili na siya mag-use of one single approach but multiple approach para makater ang tanang learnings sa kanang students. So I guess that's all for today. So let me end this discussion with a quote. We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting our experience by John Dewey. So I guess that's all for today, and thank you.